Super aware, super aware. We can all be super aware. Calling out dangers, dangers both here and there. Knowing that others surely will care. Anyone can be super aware. Knowing of the things both here and there. Calling out the dangers that are so wrong. Question all the actions that are too strong. Super aware, super aware. We can all be super aware. Calling out dangers, dangers both here and there. Knowing that others surely will care. When one invades my own personal space, I put up my hand and say, get out of my face. I have the right to protect myself. I will tell others when I need some help. Super aware, super aware. We can all be super aware. Calling out dangers, dangers both here and there. Knowing that others surely will care. I will be aware, super aware. When I watch for dangers, dangers everywhere. I call out the things that would cause harm. I stay on my guard and sound a bit alarm. Super aware, super aware. We can all be super aware. Calling out dangers, dangers both here and there. Knowing that others surely will care. Super aware, super aware. We can all be super aware. Super aware, aware, super aware. We can all be super
Alright, this is Danger Aware, Super Aware Kid, Part 7, Completing the Puppet. And as you may remember, we were working on our Super Aware character, and we just completed doing the emblem, I believe. And I moved the arms around so that we can make them parts interact. And so I want to do a couple more things here. I want to add to the emblem, because if we pull up one of our shirts, let's bring up the blue one here. This one seems to be pretty clear. So you can see that the triangle's got a line around it. Let's go ahead and shrink that image down. So we grab its layer, then a corner, and just bring it down to what we want. So that's a little small. That'd be about right there. And so it's fairly close, but we want to put a another triangle around the emblem there. So let's go in close, and we're going to use the emblem on the sleeves, bright white. And let's draw a triangle, and we're going to go from about right there. Oh, it's upside down. Well, about like that. Stick it there. Stretch it up. Stretch it wider. And there we've got that outside line triangle. Let's take a look and render that out. So yeah, that looks much better. So I don't think we need to add another shadow. I think those two triangle shadows are fine. And let's see, the hands, I'd worked on the hands, but I wasn't happy with the way they work. Let's bring those up into the scene here, and we'll zoom in on this left hand. So what I can do with this hand as it is I can move the hand, I can bring the thumb out, but you can see that line is breaking. We need to make that work, so that looks weird. And then the fingers all work. We can bring each finger out by itself, and each finger is slightly different size than the others, and the little finger is smallest. They've all got fingernails. We can bend 3 joints on each. If we need to foreshorten them, when we adjust the length of the bone, we adjust the length of the finger, which gives us the ability of foreshortening and making it look like the finger is being bent downward, if that is what we're after. So if we wanted to bend this finger in, that makes it look a little bit better. Each hand has got the layers here, so that each part's layered. So if we go in, and in the depth sort we enable animated layer order, then during animation we can make fingers look like they're crossing over. We've already foreshortened it, so if we wanted to make it like it was doing a cross over the finger, well, we can't move the base of the finger over, but we can bring it up to where it would need to be. Let's make those a little bit longer. So zoom in here and grab that and make it just a little longer. Grab that, make that a little longer. So now we can go into this hand, which is the left hand. And if we engage the depth sort animated layer orders, now that we're in the animation layer, we can move these around for whichever scene we're in. Now that does require more memory for processing, and will extend the length of time that your animation takes to process when you go to produce your final. But that is something you've got to consider. Is this something I need to use or not? So what we can do here is on the middle finger, let's get all 3 of these, and we're going to just simply move them above the forefinger, and now we're crossing our fingers. Okay? So with this hand we can do a lot. It's very versatile. But I didn't care for all of that, so we go back to the construction layer, and you can see the middle finger parts go right back to where they belong. We're not in the animation any longer where we made that change. And then we can come up further and move them back to uncross them. Now we've got the forefinger completely above, so now the finger is completely behind that forefinger. So we can do that in animation because we've enabled the layer sort animation. So we're going to remove all animation from this work, from the entire document, and now everything's back to normal. We're going to go back to the construction layer. Even though we can do a lot with this hand, I think we can do a little bit more with it. First of all, what we want to do, all of these bones are linked to this bone, and the only way I can move them is during animation, is to switch from doing manipulating the bones to actually transforming them. The difference being manipulating, they stay in place, where transforming, you pick them up and move them around. The problem with that, and I want to do that, I want to be able to move the fingers apart a bit, but I also want the palm to go with it, and I want to be consistent when I do move them. So what I want to do is add a linking bone between them and the hand palm bone. So again, we're going to remove all that animation that I just did, get back into the construction layer. We're going to transform the palm bone here. We're going to carefully change the size of this bone while trying to keep everything exactly where it is. So as you can see, we're crossing the thumb right at the bottom of this yellow mark there. So we're going to bring the point of this bone to right to that yellow mark right there, and that should have everything back where it was. So we can test by testing the joint on these fingers. So if we bring the finger out and twist the joint, that one is way off. So we obviously didn't get it all right. Let's see if this one's okay. So this one's closer, so let's transform this just a bit. I'd say we're probably too low, so come back up a bit. I think that's it. I think that might be where I was though. So let's test this. That one could just be off. I think that one's just off. Look at the tip, it works fine. I think I may have misdone that one to begin with, because these look close. Not perfect, but when you're looking at them from a distance, you're not going to see any of those imperfections, except on this finger. So I need to fix that pinky, but other than that, we're fine. So we'll fix that as we go. So let's get everything back to their rest state. And now what I want to do is add bones from here to each of these. So we're going to be using B for bone, grab this bone, A for add, grab this tip, and come to this one. And let's go in close and transform it so that we can get it just right. Alright, so now we go back to the palm bone, and we're going to add again, and we're going to come right off of it and do the same thing, and we can zoom in while we're holding that. We don't have to let it go, and we can get it right to the point we want it. So now we go back to B for bone, grab the palm, A to add. Just start by pointing at the tip of the bone we're looking from, and then we can zoom in where we want to go and be exactly where we want it to be. And finally one more. So go B for bone, grab from here, A to add. I'm going to start right there. That does center it. And then we're going to zoom in here and get right where we want that to be. Alright, and now we're going to go B for bone and P for parent, and parent this bone to the new bone there. B for bone, grab this bone and parent it to its new parent. B for bone, P for parent, and this new bone. And finally, B for bone, P for parent, and this new bone. Let's go ahead and go to the other side, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring this palm bone right to where the thumb overlaps there. So we're going to try to keep it exactly where it's at. So I'm going to move this one point right down here in the corner where I can just barely see it. And it's touching that corner now. So now as I move this, I should be able to get it back to right there. And we're just going to reduce this bone right to here. And now we need to get that little corner piece back. So right there. I think that was it. I think that should do it. So now we're going to just add and go from here to each of these old original finger bones. And B for bone, grab this one, A to add. B for bone, grab, A to add. Zoom in with the scroll wheel on your mouse. I'm using a trackball. It gives me much more control than a mouse. And I can click buttons without anything happening to my positioning. So B for bone, grab this bone, A to add, and we come to this one. So I'm holding down my mouse left button while I'm scrolling the scroll wheel, and then with my thumb I'm adjusting where those points go. So now we're going to go B for bone, grab this bone, P to parent it to this bone. B for bone, grab this one, P to parent it to this one. V for bone, P to grab this one, oops, P to parent to this one. B for bone, grab this one, P for parent to this one. Go in and let's grab all those bones, and we're going to reduce the strength to 0. We're going to go in now and we can move those bones around, and you can see the fingers can move with it now. We just need to make the palm also work like that. So this is the right hand, so we want to go to the right palm. And we've already got the palm assigned by layer. It's bound to this bone for the whole palm. So we need to go into bone and release layer and points. We're in the palm. We're going to get B for bone, grab the palm, hit I, and again we're going to grab everything and bind them. That's just so we're sure everything's got a binding to something. Then we're going to grab this final bone over here and I to grab this point, and we're only going to bind that one point to that one bone. And then the same on the other side. We're going to grab B for bone, grab the first finger, and then I for point, and we're going to grab this point and bind it. And let's see here. So what I think we'll do, this is also assigned by layers, so we're going to go to bone, release layer and points, then hit B, then I, grab everything, bind those points. Then for this point, I'm going to grab this bone and I, and this point, and holding shift, this point. We're going to bind those to that bone. So now, one more thing, I think. Hit this, and you see how this is curving? Let's go in and just remove all curve effects from this point and let the other curves control how it reacts. So now the thumb stays connected, so that's as I wanted. And as I move this over, that's as far as you'd normally take it, but you could go further. You're just going to get a crossover line there. So now when we move this finger, the palm moves with it to a certain point, but we don't want to move these too far. You normally can't move them apart much in your real hand. So the same on this side. As I move this bone, the palm deforms to match it, but again, if we don't go too far, then it seems fairly workable as a functioning hand. So with all the other features, we can do quite a bit with this hand now. I'm going to name all these bones so that we don't get them confused, because there are now just bone numbers for them. let's go ahead and do all that. So this is the main movement bone. So move character. And then the next bone is B2, and that is this one. Now, I want to add one more bone before I go any further. So I'm going to go here to our movement bone, and we're going to add a pin bone right here, and that one is going to be the pelvis. B2 is the stomach area. B3 is the chest. And why am I naming these? Because as we do more, we're going to need to animate some of these bones or do actions for them. And it's easier to work with the actions if you have a name that lets you think about what it's actually got to do. So that's the lower neck. And next we have the upper neck. Can't seem to type. Alright, so now let's see, what do we got? That's it. So every bone is now named, so we know exactly what we're going to be working with when we're creating actions, and we'll know how those actions can be edited. So I think we're done with the t-shirt. We've got the emblem there, so let's go ahead and that'll be this. And what else do we need to do? We've got the hand working better. Oh, we didn't finish the hand over here, and we've got strength on that bone still. So let's go to the bone layer, get rid of the strength on the pelvis bone. Oh, and we want to make sure that the pelvis bone is parented to this bone, and then that these bones are parented to the pelvis. So we've got one bone that's central to the character, a pin bone, and it points to a bone that we can pick up outside of the character to move the character around. So now, we want to finish the left hand over here. So we need to go into the palm. That's the right hand. Here's the left hand. Go to the palm. And we're going to release it from the layer and points assignment that it had. Then we're choosing B for bone, and then I, and selecting everything on the palm, binding those points. Then we're going to take this bone here and I to bind just this point of the palm, and then this bone here and I to bind this bone to this point. So now let's go to the thumb base, and again we're going to release the points, then use B for bone, then I, and select everything. But then we're going to grab this bone right here in the palm, and we're going to use I and use these 2 points so they stay with the palm. Go into the final point here, hit C for curve, and we're going to eliminate all of its curve. Now, when we go to the bone layer, we can manipulate the thumb and it stays connected. We can manipulate these fingers and separate the palm so that the fingers can be separated like that. And now we can do quite a bit with that hand. And since this character is going to be mostly fuzzed out, I think that's probably good enough for this hand. We could do more, but I think that's all we're going to do with this one. Final thing is to restrict how much those bones can move, because they are moving quite freely. So let's grab those and hold shift and grab these. And then we're going to add bone constraints, and let's go -10. Tab 10. And now each of those are restricted to 20 degrees of movement. And I think that's probably well more than enough. We can do the overlapping when we need to. The hand and the palm expands, the thumb stays connected. We might want to put some restriction on the thumbs. 45s. Let's see how that looks. So now we can go to there, that's good, and there, that works, 45. So, alright. And we can rearrange the layers so that if we need the thumb to hide in the palm of the hand, we can do that. And although, again, we're going to be fuzzing the character out, it's not likely that that's going to matter much. So there we've got that moving, that moving. Let's look at those pants. There's the pelvis patch, the pelvis. Yeah, I think the pelvis should be much higher in the shirt, the pants. So let's grab these points here and here. So when the belly moves, we don't expose empty air. So there we go. Now let's see. We still get a point where we get exposure, but that's alright. We can deal with that in animation. Or the legs are moving. Let's bind the pelvis to the pelvis bone so it doesn't move incorrectly, which is why I added it. So look here, there. And let's go back to the bone layer. Let's bring the character down to our camera view size. So now the character's in the camera view fully. And we've got Superwear Kid blue here. That's fine. We can change colors really easy. In fact, I don't even think we need to say blue because we can change that color so easy. It can be any Superwear Kid. And we only have Superwear Kid in the name as well. Let's go ahead and save this as our next version, which is 8. So let's do a render. Control R to render. And there we go. We've got our Superwear Kid puppet complete. We can manipulate him and pose him and put him in a scene or her. It's indistinct as to whether it's a boy or girl. It's depending on the situation actually. But we can definitely do a lot of animation with this character as is. So the puppet is completed. Everything is working as it should. We can even do action shots. So hands are coming in front of the shirt but behind the emblem, just as I want it, so that the emblem is actually floating in front of the character. So hit render and let's see how that looks. Yeah, there we go. So the Superwear Kid's emblem is super. It extends out in front of the body. And when we do the shoe turn, we'll put the emblem on the shoes. The artist used a little circle there. Let's bring the character in. So when we do the shoes turning sideways to look like this, instead of a little circle, we're going to put the Superwear emblem on the shoe as well. Why not? And then we'll do the feet turn, the hips turn, the shoulder turn, and the head turn. I don't know if we'll get full profile like this, but we will get 3/4 turn and 3/4 turn, you know. So, well, we'll get 3/4 turn. This we may not make. We may have to create another puppet to do this and from behind. But this character is, this puppet is ready to go and can be used just as it is. We don't need to have the head turns and the neck turns and the all of that we're going to do to it yet. We will be doing that in the next video, as we will be adding control bones over here. So when I do control bones, I like to use a star pattern layout and use the controls near the body part. So we're going to be using turning of the shoes, so that the shoe will look like the person's pointing their foot sideways either direction. So we'll put a bone here and here for the shoes, and then we'll come up to the hips. We'll put some bones here for the hips, and then some bones up here for the chest, and then some for the mouth, and then some for the eyes. So as you can see, we're going to get kind of tight up here when we get to the face, but we'll just extend them above, because this is a 4-year-old. Or no, this is Superwear Kid. So we may not have as tight of a layout as I was thinking. So I've also been working on our Solari and Talar dolls, our puppets for our twins, which those are important characters. If you visit dangerwear.org, you might find something there about Solari and Talar and who they are and what we're doing with them. But for now, this is the Superwear Kid. His parts have all been completed. If you'd like to buy one of the shirts that he's wearing or something similar, the one that we had in the image earlier, we will be having them on our Amazon store soon. So it's just a matter of getting everything set up properly and getting them on there for people to purchase. So keep your eyes out on Amazon for our store coming soon. until then, you can purchase our Super Aware kid, sorry, not our Super Aware, but our Respect Our Personal Space. If we go to our documents here, let's see, we want to go. Personal space. There is what I'm looking for. Oh, we don't have the shirts there. Superwear t-shirts. Here we go. So these will be on Amazon soon. But until then, you can go to our Teespring store. That's what I should have said. If you go to our Dangerwear site, so enter Dangerwear, and scroll down the page, you can see our notebook here, Respect My Personal Space. You click on that, it will take you to our Teespring store, and so you can see here you can purchase our notebook, which is my Respect My Personal Space. That's what the back looks like. I've gotten a few of these, they are nice. And so we've also got apparel, so long sleeve t-shirts, women's classic tee, kids premium tee, classic crew neck t-shirt or sweatshirt, a classic hoodie, and a women's racerback tank. We also have the Super Aware puzzle, Respect My Personal Space 500 piece puzzle. You can see here in the corner it says 500. Then we also have the Zoy Zoy Hop shouting danger. She's a grasshopper of the Begillagers. And speaking of the Begillagers, we have the Begillagers coloring book #1. And you can take this and download it and print them out for your kids to color images of the Begillagers. So that's it. And, oh, and a coffee cup. We have the Respect My Personal Space coffee cup. So please help Dangerwear by purchasing one of these products. The proceeds all go to improving our cartoons and comics and hiring more people to do more work so that we can change the games we've got to be better games, and to just make our website a place where kids want to go and play, and while they're playing they're going to learn about abuse awareness. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time when we add the control bones to our puppet. So it'll be the final chapter when we do the head turn, shoulder turn, hip turn, and shoe turns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different turning effects for this character. That'll be our next video. So adding control bones for body turns and for mouth manipulation. I also want to manipulate the mouth. Well, actually not too much with this character. So I won't go through the full phonetic mouth controls, but we'll be able to make the mouth move so that it looks like it's talking, because we're going to fuzz it out. There's not a lot you're going to be able to tell from the shape of the mouth with this character fuzzed out like this. So there you go. That's our full Dangerwear Super Aware Kid puppet. So stay tuned. We should be writing some scripts for this character soon, and we'll be able to do some amazing things with it. So stay tuned.